My question is for you, Mr. Hitchens. I was wondering, it's on a much less scholarly level, I guess, but in your personal life and the people that you've come across, and I'm sure you've debated some interesting people, and just, you know, in passing, we meet different people and get to understand different life experiences. What would your opinion be on someone who, or on a lot of people maybe, who have grown up and maybe not believed in any God, or have been devout, you know, non-believers, if that makes sense, or believers in a different religion, and have come across the Bible, or have in some fashion that is not necessarily being proselytized, as you talked about, or not necessarily growing up in a Christian home, they have decided to convert to Christianity, and in doing so have put themselves in a position where maybe their potential wealth gain or potential influence in society would be diminished, but they feel that the returns for that are greater on a higher level. I guess, how would you feel about that, and what would you do if a supernatural experience occurred to you? If you had said, you know what, God, if you would show up right now and do this, and he did it, I mean, how would you react to that? Would you commit yourself to an asylum, or would you just ask more questions?
Okay. To the hypothetical person or persons you mentioned, my answer would be, I wish them all the best of luck. And if it works for them, I'm very happy for them. I just don't want them trying to teach that Bible in the school attended by my daughter, or to try and legislate from that book in the common law of the United States, or to try and have a supernatural intervention taught in science class. I won't have any of that. Aside from that, we can coexist. I make that demand of all religions, by the way. And incidentally, you'd have to grant it to all religions if you thought that someone's life could be improved by reading a holy book, and that they'd then be less materialistic and nicer person and so on. Well then, you know, it's said, and I believe it may well be true, that Louis Farrakhan's racist crackpot cult organization gets young black men off drugs in jail. Maybe it does, by handing them the Wahhabi Quran. Well, what have you proved there? Nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. But as long as they don't try and hurt me with it, I'm fine. Now, as to the likelihood that I'd have a revelation, I keep being told that that's what I'm secretly looking for. That I couldn't be like this if I wasn't some kind of a seeker. It's very irritating, that. It's like being told, you may not believe in Jesus, but he believes in you. Fantastically annoying thing to have said.
I can assure you that he doesn't.
David Hume, I suppose you've all read David Hume on miracles. If you haven't, you must. It's the most elegant philosophizing on the question of miraculous apparition that has yet been. He says, if something appears to have happened that is not consistent with the laws of nature, the laws of nature have been suspended, there are two contingencies. Either that the laws of nature have been suspended in your favor, or that you're under a misapprehension. Which is the likeliest? It's always likeliest that you're under a misapprehension. And if you're hearing about this from someone who claims to have seen it, and you weren't there getting it secondhand, the odds that it's a misapprehension is being spread are exponentially increased. So if I heard voices telling me to do something, and that this was on behalf of a deity, I would check myself in, of course. And I hope that you would if you saw someone in the street raving and saying, well, let's not say raving, that would be to prejudice it. But if someone came up to you and said, you know, I'm on a mission from God today, and I've got various things I've got to do, and I hope you'll help me do them, because God's will has to be done through me. Why is it that you edge away from people like that rather than towards them, if they're on the same bus as you? What saving instinct makes you say, I think I'm going to move to another seat now, rather than say, ooh, I wish you'd share? Why is that? You know very well why it is.
I'd like to tack on
people who say they're doing God's work are to be distrusted.